Hi, tonight's bedtime story is called The Little Boat That Almost Sank. I'm tired, said Jesus to his friends one evening. I will send the crowds away, and then I must go into the hills alone to talk to God. You men row across the lake in your boat, and I will meet you after a while. The sun had set like an enormous red balloon floating down to the edge of the sky. And now the birds tucked their heads under their wings to sleep, and the flowers folded themselves quietly for the night, and the stars prickled their sparkly way into the great black blanket of the night. Peter raised his hands in prayer. I will shove the boat off, said James to his friends as they took up the oars. The only sound was the soft sound of the wind whooshing the waves, and the soft slap of oars dipping in water. The wind is getting worse, said John after they had rowed for a bit. We want to make our boat go one way, but the wind is starting to push it the other way. By then, the sound of the wind had become like a roar of an angry lion. The little waves turned to big waves, and the big waves thumped and bumped and rocked the boat and splashed water into it. Can you see them down there? I'm scared, shouted Andrew above the noise of the wind and the boom of the waves. I am a fisherman and I have been in rough water many times, but this is terrible. I'm scared. I am too, shouted Peter. If Jesus were here, I would not feel so scared. I wish he had come with us, called another man, wet, trembling, and afraid. When Jesus looked out from the top of the hill, he could see the boat rocking in the moonlight and all of the men pulling hard at the oars. That is a strong wind, he said to himself. It is the middle of the night and they're getting nowhere. They must be wet and cold and frightened. Down the hill Jesus went, down the hill and over the rocks, down in the dark, until he got to the shore. The wind hissed and the waves roared, and the boat rocked and the men trembled, afraid. Then they saw Jesus walking toward them on the water. They were stiff with fear. A ghost, they screamed. The storm is bad enough, but now a ghost. But over the hiss of the wind, the boom of the waves, and the cries of the men came a voice they knew. It is I. Do not be afraid. Oh, Jesus, Jesus, called Peter. If that's really you, please tell me to come to you on the water. In the darkness, above the roar of the wind, Jesus said quietly, Come, Peter, come. Peter climbed out over the side of the boat, and looking ahead at Jesus, he felt brave. He took some steps out on the water, but suddenly the waves thundered in his ears, and instead of looking at Jesus, he looked down. I cannot do it, he thought to himself, and he began to sink. Lord, help, he cried. Jesus quickly stretched his arms and caught him. Peter, Peter, you thought you could not do it? Why don't you have more faith in me? Together they climbed into the boat. The wind stopped roaring, and the waves stopped pounding, and the boat stopped rocking, and there came again the gentle whoosh of the waves, and the soft slap of the oars dipping in water. Jesus, whispered Peter and Andrew and all of the men, you can make the storm go away. You can make the winds hush. When you are with us, we are not afraid. The end. All right, I will see you tomorrow night. Bye.